Hello good people, this is FisherTwelve back with another exciting video for you guys today. As always, it is Tuesday night, so you know what that means. Let's talk SmackDown. So this episode of SmackDown started off with a battle for the United States Championship, AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens. This was Kevin Owens' rematch clause activation, I guess you could call it. And it was interesting to see the show start off with a match that's rather unusual because ratings have shown that historically they do better when there are talking segments to start the hour. So it's just nice to see them switch it up and start off with the match. So I'm curious to see how that impacts ratings, if at all. But on Raw, they actually did the same thing. They had the triple threat match start at the beginning of the second hour. So just some switch up in the order of programming for WWE. Clearly, they're trying to move stuff around. If people were to say that they're not doing anything, that's not really the case. They are doing stuff. I just think it's a little bit more minor than you think. So we'll see when ratings come out next week if it had any impact. One thing that gets me every time is the superstar facts on the name title. It's like, are they even trying? AJ Styles' thing was won the US title last week on SmackDown, and Kevin Owens was lost the US title last week on SmackDown. It's like, if there was ever an opportunity to get me to like or hate a character more without them needing to do anything, that would be the opportunity. You could put something in there like, AJ Styles loves rock and roll music, or something very relatable like that, and then you could put something negative on Kevin Owens like, Kevin Owens hates cats and dogs. You know, something like that, something that really gets the crowd against him, that helps build the character. But just throwing a fact in there like, he lost the title last week on SmackDown, that would make sense if the announcers weren't talking about it, if they weren't showing replays, if that was the only news flash that he lost the title, it would be understandable. But if this is supposed to be a fact about the superstar, let it be an actual fact about the superstar. Now, the match itself was pretty good, better than their pay-per-view match for sure, but what the hell was that finish? It didn't make any sense to me. It was clear what they were trying to do because first they attempted the ref bump, but they didn't fully hit the ref, so he just stumbled a little bit, or acted like he stumbled a little bit. And then they go for it again, and Kevin Owens clearly misses the ref, but he acts like he got hit, and they just continue on anyway as if he did get hit. And then Kevin Owens' shoulder is clearly up, and the referee is looking right at that. Like, it would have been more believable if he just kept his head down the entire time and was like, my eye was hurting, I didn't see, I just counted 3, just wanted to end the match and get medical attention, my bad, I shouldn't have done that. But to be blatantly looking at Kevin Owens' shoulder up off the mat, he's literally like stretching it at you, and you're just like, yep, I'm gonna keep counting anyway. It doesn't make any sense, and it's not believable. But ultimately, this set up for a Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles match at Summerslam for the Universal Championship with special guest referee Shane McMahon, and I see this as the beginnings to the Shane versus Kevin Owens feud that we should be getting. I don't know if that will go to maybe Survivor Series, or if that's something that we're going to get all the way up to the next WrestleMania, really stretch this feud out. We'll have to wait and see. I am a little frustrated, though, that they're really turning this match, Kevin Owens versus AJ Styles, stale. Extremely stale, because they're having it every 2 weeks. And not to mention, the new SmackDown motto should be like, the land of infinite title shots, because Lana just seemed to get so many title shots. Kevin Owens is getting a handful of title shots. It's just like they just keep passing out these rematches to everyone for every little mishap that happens. And it seems like that's their go-to. Any matchup between two competitors for a title match, there's always some mishap that happens that causes a rematch. But next we had what I would call slam poetry from the Usos. They came out to an updated theme, so the CFOs have been extremely busy. Either that, or they've just had all these themes stocked up, ready to go for weeks now, and someone suddenly realized that they had them stocked up and was like, oh yeah, these people have new themes. Let's turn them all on in 1 week. but I didn't actually think their slam poetry was that bad. They had a lot of good rhymes. It's clear that they're trying to build up the success of the rap battle because they kept showing that for weeks on end between the New Day and the Uso feud the first time around. So the second time around, they're probably going to show this slam poetry for weeks on end. But for once, it was actually nice to see some not 50-50 booking and have the New Day come out and attack the Usos. The Usos came out, they talked some smack, and they walked away, and that was that. Now, if it wasn't for the main event, this next segment easily would have been the highlight of the show, the Fashion Peaks, which is a Twin Peaks parody, which was just awesome. It was funny, it was clever and self-aware. It was great. I loved it. I loved it. And one thing, too, that it seems like they're doing is that they're dragging this Fashion Police, Fashion Files thing out until SummerSlam or after SummerSlam. So that presents an opportunity for Sanity or the Authors of Pain to be called up to the main roster and feud with them, and that'd be something I'd really like to see. Next up, we had Sami Zayn versus Aiden English. And it's obviously just the facial hair, the orange facial hair, just the orange hair in general. But I was like, these guys could be cousins. They could be related. They could be step siblings or even actual siblings. They kind of look alike. Sami looks like the younger brother to Aiden. And Aiden English is doing a great job at being what I would consider a good heel. And my example of a good heel versus a bad heel is a good heel is someone who gets booed because people don't like him. A bad heel is someone who gets booed because the audience doesn't want to see them. Like, someone I can really think of right now is Elias Sampson. Like, when Elias Sampson is out on stage, and I don't mean to shit on Elias Sampson, it's just the booking, but when he's out there, the crowd is booing him because they want to see the next competitor. They want to see this guy get his ass handed to him. They don't want to see him in the ring. Whereas with Aiden English, it's not so much they don't want to see him, it's that they really find him annoying and they dislike him. But what was disappointing about this match is that English's entrance was longer than the entire match. It didn't make any sense at all. And then after the match, we had a super short promo from the Canellises. I think they came out and said 2 lines. I forget what the first line was, but the second line was, "We love that you lost." And I remember thinking, is that it? They're going to say more? And I even think JBL or someone else on commentary said the same thing too. And I'm a little bummed out by the booking of Mike Kanellis because I feel like the booking is slowly drifting him into that bad type of heel area that I was talking about earlier, where people are booing him because they think he's boring and they don't want to see him, versus he's being annoying and he's frustrating you and he's making you angry. I don't want to get on a huge rant about it, but it's 100% the booking. You guys know that I'm a big Mike Bennett fan or Mike Kanellis fan, so I think it's really hurt him that he's lost a couple matches and then he wants to come out and smack talk. It's like, if you can't walk the walk, you can't talk the talk. No one's going to buy in when you talk the talk. So I think they need to start getting him some wins, some upper hands. And it actually doesn't even need to be wins. If Mike Kanellis had come out, or Mike and Maria had come out and they just attacked Sami after the match when he's in disbelief that Aiden English got the quick victory over him, and then they said, "We love that you lost," then they'd be getting some major heat because they beat up Sami Zayn, because they jumped Sami Zayn. If they're just coming out and being like, "We love that you lost," it's like, okay, that's great. Whatever. I'm not even going to think twice about it. I'm just going to move on. I'm still thinking about Aiden English's victory, how he got the quick roll-up on Sami Zayn. I'm not even thinking about what you're saying. Next up, we had Naomi and Becky Lynch versus Natalya and Carmella. And this match, it was an okay match. I'm pretty sure this was Carmella's first TV match since winning Money in the Bank. And it would have been nice to see her be booked a little bit stronger and not make her tap out. Also, too, Natalya didn't look that strong either. Her booking was pretty weak, which doesn't really get me all that excited for her SummerSlam match. If there was a low point, or at least the opposite of a highlight for this episode of SmackDown, it would probably be this match. And even as I talk about it out loud, I realize how difficult the booking could be, because you want Naomi to go over as the champion. You want Becky Lynch to go over because there's a potential for maybe a feud with Cyborg or something else. So you want to keep her looking strong, like someone who could compete with someone from the UFC. And then at the same time, you have Carmella, who's Miss Money in the Bank. You want to make sure she looks like a contender, someone who could actually win and carry the title. And then you have Natalya, who has a match at SummerSlam, and you want to make sure that she looks strong too, like she's an actual contender for Naomi's championship, because, you know, Naomi's last contender was Lana. The last thing you want to do is feed Naomi to people who don't seem like contenders at all. So a difficult choice in the booking. I'm not really sure how you would resolve this or how you get good booking for everyone in the match. I'm sure if we sat and we talked about it for a while, we could come up with something, but just off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything. If you guys can think of a way that you could have booked this match to get everyone over, let me know in the comments down below. I'd be really curious to hear what you guys have to say. Then we had another really good match between Rusev and Chad Gable. Well, actually, I would say there was a whole lot of nothing and a lot of rope breaks up until the commercial break, but after the commercial break, it was a solid match. But the entire time I was watching this match, I couldn't help but keep asking myself, why is Chad Gable not Kurt Angle's son? He looks more like Kurt Angle's son. He uses more of Kurt's moveset. He has like the belly to back. He has the moonsault. He has the ankle lock. Everything about him is more Kurt Angle-like than JJ. Now, after the match, Rusev cut a short promo how he doesn't have a match at SummerSlam because everyone is afraid of him, and out comes Randy Orton to answer the call. And I find it funny that this feud or this match at SummerSlam is basically pretty much like, hey, neither of us have a match. Do you want to have a match? And they're both agreeing to have a match, but honestly, it should be a pretty good match at SummerSlam, or I hope it's a good match. Rusev is a great worker, and Randy Orton, when he wants to work, he works really well. So if he wants to work with Rusev, which I don't see why you wouldn't, because Rusev, like I just said, is an awesome worker, it should be a good match. And then we had our main event, the Dream Match, Shinsuke Nakamura versus John Cena. And regardless of how you felt going into this match, I can honestly say I had a smile on my face the entirety of this match, because putting storylines and booking aside, I am watching John Cena versus Shinsuke Nakamura in the WWE in 2017. Again, storylines and implications all aside, this is a historic match. This is a milestone match in both of these guys' careers. I mean, this is easily a match that people search in 5 to 10 years on YouTube or Dailymotion or what have you. And it is a shame that this wasn't on a pay-per-view, because it could have gone on for longer and been even greater of a match. I think this match was probably around 15 or so minutes, but it was a great match nonetheless, and it was easily the best match in recent memory. And ultimately had Shinsuke Nakamura going over, so he still remains special, and although I don't want to take him off the hook, because it's not as if you can do a lot of wrong and then redeem it with one good. I definitely think you need to redeem all the bads with an equal amount of good. But for the lackluster booking that Shinsuke Nakamura has had since coming to SmackDown Live, having him go over on John Cena definitely keeps that special factor alive about him. Now, if I had to find a downside in Shinsuke Nakamura going over, it's that there is a really good chance that he beats Jinder Mahal for the title at SummerSlam, and then Baron Corbin cashes in. And I was thinking about this even prior to the match starting, but after SmackDown 1 off the air, Baron Corbin comes out and attacks Nakamura. So I felt like that was a little way of saying like, hey, remember me, I'm still here. Now, that interaction ultimately ended with Cena putting Baron Corbin through the announcers table, which is actually pretty cool. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure you can find a video on the WWE YouTube channel. I know actually you can find the video on their Twitter right now, so go check it out if you haven't seen it. But overall, I thought it was a really good episode of SmackDown, and I gotta give WWE and Road Dogg and the team credit. You know, it's easy to point the finger at them and call them out when you think they did something wrong, but you gotta praise them when they do something right, and I know I've said that before, so I'm giving them praise for this really good episode of SmackDown. And they've only announced one match for next week. They have Naomi versus Carmella next week, but I am also predicting that we're gonna get John Cena and Shinsuke Nakamura versus Baron Corbin and Jinder Mahal. I think that's a match we're gonna see based off that after show interaction, but we'll wait and see. Let me know your thoughts on this week's SmackDown in the comments down below. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of the main event? But that is unfortunately going to bring us to the end of today's video, so if you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and click on that subscribe button. And other than that, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and take care.